Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
There are patterns written in the quiet of the universe, patterns so deep that they hold everything in place. When you look at the stars, or at the ripples in a pond, or even at the rhythm of your own heartbeat, you are brushing against something ancient and steady, something that scientists call the laws of physics. They are not written in words or carved in stone, but in the endless repeating of harmony, balance, and cause. Every falling leaf, every drop of rain, every swirling galaxy, each is following a set of rules that never rest, never falter, and never break. These laws are not commands like those written in books, nor are they choices made by any hand. They are simply the way the universe breathes. If you drop a pebble, it falls. If you strike a string, it vibrates. If you warm the air, it rises. These are not accidents. They are the unfolding of invisible principles that have existed since the first sparks of time. Long before humans noticed them, long before eyes could watch or minds could wonder, the laws were already whispering across the void, shaping the dance of matter and energy. Imagine watching a flock of birds in the evening sky. They turn together, drift apart, and gather again as though some hidden conductor is guiding them. But in truth, each bird follows only simple instincts: keep close, avoid collision, follow the flow. Out of this, order rises. In the same way, the universe does not need a conductor. Atoms spin, forces pull and push, particles collide, and stars ignite, all guided by the laws that bind them. Symmetry is their language, simplicity their music. Symmetry is one of the most secretive and profound ideas hidden in the structure of everything. It means balance, not only in shapes or faces, but in the way forces behave. When a snowflake grows, each branch mirrors the others. When you look at the orbit of planets, their repeating paths show the deep pull of balance. In physics, symmetry is the reason why momentum is kept, why energy flows in familiar ways, why time seems to press forward 1 second after another. It is as though the universe has chosen fairness as its eternal rule. The falling of an apple once guided Isaac Newton to wonder about gravity. That gentle pull of the earth on fruit, on stones, on the moon itself, was not a local trick but a universal law. Every object, near or far, heavy or light, feels this invisible tug. It is always there, patient and steady. The apple does not argue with it. The moon does not resist it. Even the great arcs of galaxies bend to its will. This is one glimpse of what it means for everything to follow the laws of physics. There is no escape, no corner untouched. And yet the laws are not cages. They are more like the rules of music that allow melodies to exist. Without notes, there is no song. Without laws, there is no universe at all. The beauty of motion, the warmth of fire, the shimmer of light, all these arise because the laws give structure to what would otherwise be chaos. You can almost imagine the cosmos as a great instrument, every vibration and particle forming a vast composition, playing endlessly without beginning or end. Physicists often speak of conservation, the idea that certain things never disappear but only change form. Energy cannot vanish, it only shifts from one shape to another. The warmth in sunlight becomes the stirring of winds, the movement of water, the growth of trees. Momentum cannot be created out of nothing, it only passes between bodies. This too is law, the promise that nothing is lost, only transformed. There is a strange comfort in this thought, as though the universe keeps its own memory, never letting go of what it holds. If you watch the stars move across the night, you are seeing geometry written into time. Their positions change, but the patterns remain. The Earth spins, the planets revolve, the galaxies drift apart in the great expansion of space. The laws of physics are the reason this motion can be predicted, the reason the same patterns return season after season. Farmers once planted their crops by the stars, sailors once crossed oceans by their light. What was guiding them was not only the stars, but the reliability of the laws that keep those stars in their places. And yet mystery lingers. For every law that is known, there is a question of why it must be so. Why should gravity attract instead of repel? Why should light move at one constant speed, never faster, never slower? Why should time flow in one direction, never in reverse? These are the questions that press softly at the edges of science. The laws describe what happens, but not always why. Still, their constancy is enough to build our world upon, enough to rest the weight of thought, invention, and dream. Think of your breath. The air fills your lungs because of pressure differences, because gases spread and flow, because molecules are restless in their motion. Each inhale is physics at work, the ceaseless play of party. Clays following paths they cannot abandon. You are alive because the laws are true. Your blood flows because fluids obey their rules. Your neurons fire because electricity and chemistry move within bounds that never falter. Every heartbeat is an echo of universal law, quiet and unnoticed, yet always there. To say that everything follows these laws is to say that we are woven into the same fabric as stars and stones. You are not separate from the falling apple, or the turning planet, or the shifting tide. All obey the same hidden script. You can almost feel it if you close your eyes. The weight of gravity, the hum of motion, the warmth of energy, all whispering the same language. It is the language of physics, written not in human speech, but in the very behavior of existence itself. So the universe unfolds moment by moment, law by law. It does not hurry. It does not resist. It simply is. And in this stillness there is wonder. For the more you look, the more you see that everything, every flicker of light, every turn of time follows the same quiet truths. They are the backbone of reality, the breath of the cosmos, the unbroken thread that ties all things together. And to rest within them is to feel the deep calm of belonging to a universe that always knows its own way. When you linger on the idea of a law of physics, it is easy to imagine it as a distant, abstract truth. But these laws are not only written into the stars or hidden inside equations. They are woven into the very ground you walk upon, into the sound of a whisper, into the rising of bread in an oven. Every corner of daily life is touched by them, though we rarely pause to notice. The shape of a rainbow after rain, the way your shadow stretches in the evening, the way echoes fade in a canyon, all are quiet reminders that the world is not random. It follows rules, gentle and unseen, yet endlessly patient. Let us drift deeper into this thought, into the meaning of following. To follow a law of physics is not like obeying a command. The pebble that falls does not choose to fall. The spark of electricity in your nerve does not hesitate, wondering if it should move forward. They simply unfold according to patterns that cannot be broken. This is different from the rules of people, which can be bent or ignored. The laws of physics are woven into reality itself. They are not outside of matter, telling it what to do. They are within matter, shaping what it is. Think of light, that quiet traveler that carries warmth from the sun across empty space to Earth. Light does not ask how fast to move. It always moves at one speed, a speed so steady that it becomes a measure for the universe itself. Einstein once described this constancy, showing how time and space adjust themselves so that light remains unchanged. When you see sunlight glint on water or moonlight spread across snow, you are watching a law of physics express itself in the most tender of ways. Light is loyal to its path, never faster, never slower, always steady. The beauty of these laws is that they are both simple and profound. Consider the law of inertia, the quiet truth that things in motion stay in motion, and things at rest stay at rest unless something disturbs them. This law seems so ordinary, yet it is the reason you feel the sway of a train when it slows, the reason a ball keeps rolling until friction tugs it down, the reason the earth spins endlessly in the dark. You live within these invisible promises. They give shape to every gesture, every motion, every dance of the body and the world around it. Now imagine water flowing in a river. The curve of its path, the speed of its currents, the way ripples shimmer across its surface, all can be described by the laws of motion, of energy, of fluid dynamics. Yet when you stand at the bank, you feel not mathematics but music. The flow calms you, speaks to you. This is the secret of the laws. They are not dry facts, but the hidden poetry of existence. Scientists translate them into numbers and symbols, but you do not need the equations to feel them. You feel them in the sway of the sea, in the stillness after rain, in the silence of snow. Conservation laws deepen this wonder. They remind us that the universe is thrifty, that nothing disappears into nothingness. When a candle burns, its wax transforms into heat, light, and gases, but nothing is lost. When a child spins on a swing and slows, the energy of motion warms the air, but it does not vanish. Even stars, when they exhaust their fuel, do not lose their matter. They collapse, scatter, or fuse into new forms. This constancy is like a cosmic heartbeat. No matter the form, the rhythm continues. The universe remembers itself through its laws. In this way, the laws of physics connect us to everything around us. Your body is not outside them, but a part of their unfolding. The calcium in your bones was forged in stars through nuclear reactions. The oxygen you breathe is held to Earth by grav. ID, the neurons that carry your thoughts, pulse with electricity shaped by the laws of electromagnetism. You are not just surrounded by physics, you are physics. You are a collection of atoms, forces, and energies, following the same laws as comets and clouds. There is a quiet humility in this, and also a quiet grandeur. Now let us pause with the idea of symmetry again. In physics, symmetries are not only about shapes or reflections, but about the sameness of laws across time and place. The rules here are the same as the rules there. What you observe on Earth also holds true in the farthest galaxy. This is why scientists trust their equations to describe the unseen. The symmetry of nature is the promise that the laws are not fickle. They do not change from day to day or from place to place. They are steady companions, loyal across the vastness of space and the depth of time. Consider time itself. Every moment feels like a step forward, a movement from past to future. The laws of physics are written into this flow. They describe how particles move, how energy shifts, how entropy grows. Entropy is the measure of disorder, the reason why heat spreads, why ice melts, why smoke drifts apart. It is also the reason why time feels like it moves in one direction only. You cannot unbreak a glass, just as you cannot turn back the clock. In this quiet way, the laws of physics teach us about impermanence. They remind us that change is woven into being. And yet within change, there is also permanence. The sun may set, but its light has traveled millions of years before reaching your eyes. The oceans may shift, but their tides follow cycles that repeat with the pull of the moon. Your breath may rise and fall, but the air you release will join clouds, rain, rivers, and oceans again. Physics does not only describe endings, but also continuities. It tells us that in every transformation there is connection. You are tied to stars, to winds, to oceans, by the unbroken fabric of law. If you listen carefully, you can almost hear it, the quiet hum of order beneath chaos, the unchanging rhythm beneath motion. It is like listening to a hidden song that never ends. You are part of that song whether you notice or not. Every step you take, every breath you draw, every glance you cast to the stars is an act written in the ink of physics. And the beauty is that you need not understand the equations to belong to it. You already do. The laws are not outside of you. They are within you, steady as your heartbeat, constant as your breath. So the hidden symmetry of the universe is not only a truth for scientists or mathematicians. It is a truth for everyone, for every creature and every star. To walk in the world is to move within it. To rest in silence is to rest within it. The laws cradle you as they cradle galaxies. They are impartial, unbroken, eternal. And perhaps the most calming thought of all is that you do not need to hold the universe together. It holds itself with laws that have never failed, laws that allow you to be here, to wonder, to feel the steady rhythm of belonging. The story of the universe is not only a tale of beginnings, but of continuations. The laws of physics are the thread that makes the story coherent, the invisible stitching that keeps every page bound together. Imagine if the laws were to change even for a moment. Imagine if gravity grew weaker without warning, or if light suddenly moved faster than it always has. The stars would shift, planets would wander, and life itself would lose its footing. That it does not happen is the quiet assurance that lets the cosmos exist in peace. The steadiness of law is what gives the universe its harmony. When you hold a stone in your hand, you are holding billions of years of history shaped by these laws. The minerals within it formed under pressures and temperatures described by physics. The weight you feel is gravity's steady pull. The coolness against your skin is heat flowing according to thermodynamic rules. Even the way light glints on its edges is explained by optics. What feels like something ordinary is, in truth, a library of laws written in matter. You do not need to read the symbols to sense their presence. They are in every texture, every spark of reflection. The quietness of law also shows itself in the sky. The planets trace their ellipses around the sun, repeating paths that were first mapped centuries ago. The moon lifts tides in regular pulses, pressing and pulling the oceans with a rhythm as old as the earth. Comets return after long journeys, their orbits guided by equations that describe their distance and speed. What once seemed magical became predictable when the laws were discovered, but predictability does not diminish wonder. It deepens it, showing that even mystery follows a pattern, and even chaos holds a secret order. And yet there are edges where our understanding still falters. Deep inside the quantum world, particles behave in ways that seem uncertain, unpredictable. They exist in states that blur together until we look, until we measure. At first, this might feel like a breaking of law, a rebellion against order. But even here, in the restless realm of quanta, the laws remain. They are simply subtler, stranger, more intricate than the human mind first imagined. The unpredictability of the small is itself described by rules that never fail though they may baffle us. Even uncertainty has its symmetry. The universe whispers through these laws, but it does not explain itself fully. Why do the constants of nature have the values they do? Why is gravity so much weaker than the other forces? Why does light travel at its exact speed, not slower, not faster? Scientists call these fundamental questions. They remain unanswered, like open doors at the edge of knowledge. Yet even without the answers, the laws work unbroken and complete. They give the cosmos its shape, whether we understand their origin or not. The mystery remains, but the order endures. In your own life, you can sense these truths in ways that are not mathematical but experiential. You throw a ball and see its arc curve with gravity. You strike a bell and hear its sound fade as vibrations flow into the air. You watch a fire burn and feel its warmth spread outward. You walk, run, rest, and sleep, all while your body follows chemical and physical laws that never betray you. It is almost as though the universe is teaching through sensation, letting you feel the laws without needing to name them. Every day is a lesson in physics, quiet and unspoken. When you consider this, a gentle wonder arises. The same laws that govern galaxies also govern your thoughts. The same rules that shape the birth of stars shape the movement of neurons in your brain. You are a child of the laws, an expression of them, a local pattern in a universal dance. To follow the laws of physics is not something separate from living, it is what living means. Every motion, every heartbeat, every dream that flickers behind closed eyes exists within them. The poetry of physics is not only around you, it is you. There is comfort in this recognition. The laws of physics do not choose favorites. They do not lift one person higher or press another lower. They act with impartiality, steady and fair. Gravity pulls on all things, light shines without preference. The flow of time moves for everyone alike. To belong to this impartial order is to belong to something greater than choice, greater than will. It is to be a part of an unbroken whole, where the same truth threads through all things equally. Now imagine drifting outward in thought, beyond Earth, beyond the stars visible to your eyes, into the vast stretches where galaxies shimmer like scattered dust. Out there, in distances too wide to name, the same laws hold. Gravity shapes the arcs of galaxies, light travels at its steady pace, energy transforms but does not vanish. The symmetry remains unbroken even across billions of light years. There is a serenity in this. It means that the universe is not chaos scattered across the void, but harmony stretched beyond measure. And so we return to the question, what is a law of physics and why does everything follow it? It is not a rule imposed from outside. It is not a decree from some hidden source. It is the very nature of reality, the essence of how matter and energy exist. Things follow the laws not because they must, but because they are the laws. A stone does not decide to fall, nor does light decide to shine. These are simply what it means to be stone, to be light, to be part of the fabric of the universe. Everything follows because everything is woven from the same thread. In the end, this realization is both humbling and soothing. You are not separate from the great order. You are a participant in it, a moment in its flow. The same laws that hold galaxies together hold you together. The same symmetry that keeps the stars steady keeps your breath steady. The universe does not ask you to control it. It only invites you to notice, to rest within it, to wonder at the beauty of laws that never falter. To know this is to feel peace, for you are part of a harmony too vast to break. So let us close this story with a reflection. The hidden symmetry of the universe is not distant, not unreachable. It is here in every gesture, every sound, every shimmer of light. It is written into the falling apple and the turning of galaxies alike. To follow the laws of physics is simply to exist, to be part of the unbroken dance that began at the first moment of time and continues still. In this endless unfolding, you can find serenity. For everything everywhere always follows the same quiet truths, and in those truths there is both wonder and rest. The apple falls in silence. Its gentle arc through the air is so familiar that it feels like nothing at all, like an ordinary event in an ordinary day. And yet, within that quiet fall lies one of the greatest revelations in the history of thought. A fruit slipping from a branch is not only a simple act of nature, it is the whisper of gravity, the voice of a law that binds the entire cosmos. When Isaac Newton is said to have watched an apple drop, what truly struck him was not the apple itself, but the realization that the same force guiding its descent was also guiding the moon above. The ordinary became extraordinary, and the whisper of falling apples became the music of universal law. Gravity is the most intimate of forces. You feel it always, though you rarely think of it. It presses you to the earth with a steady hand. It tugs on oceans, lifting tides in and out with the moon's passage. It holds the atmosphere in place so you can breathe without the air drifting away. You do not need to see it to know it is there. Every step you take, every gesture of your body, every sigh of your breath unfolds within its embrace. The apple falls because it must. You stand because it holds you. The mountains rise and do not float away. The seas do not escape into space. Everything rests within this invisible pull. Imagine the earth itself as a great apple in the orchard of the cosmos, suspended by the same law. It turns endlessly, drawn in orbit by the sun's gravity. The sun in turn is held in the arm of the galaxy. The galaxy itself drifts in a web of attraction with others. The apple that falls from the tree follows the same truth as the stars and galaxies, the truth of attraction, the symmetry of pull. What seems small and local is, in fact, a window into the vastness. The whisper of falling apples carries across the whole of the universe. Newton's insight was not to invent the law, but to uncover it. Gravity had always been there, from the first clustering of matter in the young universe, from the first stars drawn together, from the first planets circling their suns. What Newton did was give the whisper a name, a form, a way to be described. He showed that the same mathematics that guided the apple also guided the moon, that no matter how near or far, the pull was universal. The simplicity of the idea was its power. With one stroke, the heavens and the earth were joined by the same rule. Yet gravity is more than a pull. It is a story of connection. Every atom in your body is drawn to every atom in the earth. Every star feels the presence of every other star, even across unimaginable distances. This connection is weak in the small, but immense in the vast. It gathers dust into planets, gas into stars, stars into galaxies. Without it, there would be no worlds, no suns, no places to walk or breathe. The apple falls not only because of Earth, but because of a universal embrace that ties all things together. In its silence, the apple is speaking of belonging. Let us drift into the orchard again, into the shade of trees, where apples ripen and fall with the turning of seasons. The cycle of growth and gravity intertwines here. The earth's pull shapes the roots that anchor, the branches that stretch upward, the fruit that swells with water drawn against that same pull. Even the sunlight that nourishes the tree comes because gravity holds the sun together, fusing hydrogen into light. Each apple carries within it the memory of gravity, from the star that fed its growth to the moment it rests on the ground. In this way, an orchard is not only a garden of fruit, but a garden of laws, each apple a quiet testament. Consider also the gentleness of gravity. It does not strike or shout. It is constant, soft, invisible, and patient. You never wake in fear of it abandoning you. You never wonder if it will stop. Its presence is as certain as breath, as steady as time. Even when mountains crumble and rivers change their course, gravity endures. It does not ask for notice, yet it holds everything together. In this there is something calming. You are never truly untethered, never floating alone in nothingness. The earth holds you as the sun holds the earth, as the galaxy holds the sun. It is a chain of belonging without end. And yet gravity has its mysteries. Why does it pull and not push? Why is it so much weaker than other forces, yet still the one that shapes the universe on the grandest scales? Why does it bend space and time, as Einstein later showed, curving the paths of light and matter alike? These questions remind us that the whisper of falling apples is not fully understood even now. We live in the presence of law, but not always in the fullness of its explanation. Still, the whisper is enough. The apple falls, the moon circles, the earth turns. The law holds even if the mystery lingers. When you stand beneath a tree and see fruit resting on its branches, you are looking at potential. The apple is waiting, balanced against the pull, until the stem weakens and release comes. In that moment, law and life meet. The apple nourishes, feeds, becomes part of another body. The fall is not an ending but a transformation. Gravity carries it, and in doing so, ties it to the endless cycle of growth and decay, hunger and fulfillment. The law of physics here is not cold or distant. It is intimate, woven into the sweetness of fruit, the taste of life itself. So the whisper of falling apples is not only about the motion of matter, but about the poetry of existence. It speaks of order hidden in the ordinary, of universality hiding in the simple. It tells us that the same truths that hold stars in place also touch the quiet corners of orchards, the gentle movements of leaves, the slow ripening of fruit. And in this it offers a soft lesson, that the profound need not be far away. It can be found in the fall of an apple, in the soundless descent of something small, carrying within it the weight of universal law. The apple falling from its branch is a moment so small, so ordinary, that most people would never think twice about it. Yet for Newton, it became a symbol of connection between the earth beneath his feet and the heavens above. What is remarkable is not the apple itself, but the recognition that a single law threads through every scale of existence. The same gravity that brings the apple to the ground also holds the moon in orbit. It is a truth that ties the humble and the vast, the familiar and the infinite, into one unbroken whole. Gravity was not always understood this way. In ancient times, people spoke of the heavens as separate from Earth. The motions of the stars and planets seemed divine, different from the motions of stones and rivers. Newton's insight erased that divide. The apple falling and the planets circling were the same story told in different voices. The universe became one. This was not only a scientific discovery, but also a philosophical one. It meant that all things belong to a single fabric of law, a fabric where no motion is too small or too great to be explained by the same principle. Let us wander deeper into the orchard of thought. Picture a row of trees heavy with fruit, their branches swaying in the breeze. Each apple clings for a while, resisting the steady tug of gravity until at last the bond loosens and the fruit drifts downward. Now imagine the earth as one of these apples, circling the sun instead of falling into it. What prevents it from crashing inward is its sideways motion, its constant turning that makes its fall become an orbit. Earth is always falling, but it never lands. The whisper of the apple is echoed in the whisper of planets themselves. This idea reshaped human understanding. Suddenly, the cosmos was not chaos or mystery alone, it was pattern. Equations could predict the future of orbits, the return of comets, the rise and fall of tides. What was once seen as unknowable could now be charted, mapped, measured. But alongside this clarity came a deeper wonder. For if the universe could be described with such simplicity, then perhaps it was written in a kind of language, one that spoke through numbers and symmetries. The laws of gravity became not only tools but poetry, offering a glimpse of order in the heart of existence. And yet Newton's laws were only part of the story. Centuries later, Einstein would show that gravity is not truly a force pulling objects across space, but the bending of space itself. The apple falls not because something tugs it downward, but because the Earth curves the space around it, guiding its path naturally. The moon orbits not because it is held by an invisible string, but because it moves through the curved fabric of space-time. This shift in perspective turned the whisper of falling apples into something even more profound. It was not only about pull, it was about the shape of reality itself. Imagine placing a heavy ball on a stretched sheet. The fabric dips and smaller objects roll toward it. In a way, this is what Earth does to space, bending it so that the apple's path curves downward. But this metaphor is only the beginning. Space and time themselves bend, weaving together in ways that shape the movement of everything. Light bends around stars. Time slows near massive bodies. The falling apple is part of this same geometry, part of a universe where even the simplest motions are written by the curvature of the unseen. What is astonishing is how universal this principle is. Gravity does not care whether it touches an apple, a person, a mountain, or a star. It acts without preference, without exception. The apple falls at the same rate as any other object, no matter its weight. Galileo demonstrated this centuries before Newton, dropping spheres from towers and showing that their fall was not determined by heaviness but by the steady pull of the Earth. This is one of the most democratic truths in all of science, that all matter, great or small, follows the same path under gravity's hand. Think now of the tides. Twice each day the oceans rise and fall, drawn outward and inward by the pull of the moon. This is grav. It's whisper on a planetary scale, a reminder that the apple falling from a branch is connected to the breathing of seas. Sailors once read the tides as guides, knowing their cycles with precision. Fishermen trusted them, farmers too, shaping their lives around the rhythm of gravitational pull. What began as an apple falling in silence became a truth felt across entire civilizations, shaping work, travel, and survival. The story of falling apples also teaches about constancy. Gravity is always present, always steady, never pausing or tiring. Even when unseen, even when unnoticed, it continues its embrace. Stars hold their planets. Galaxies swirl with their arms extended. Clusters of galaxies form webs across the cosmos, bound by gravity's endless reach. In this way, the simple fall of an apple is an echo of structures too vast to imagine. It is a local expression of a cosmic truth, a small symbol of the infinite. And yet there is also fragility in this balance. If the Earth moved a little slower, it would spiral inward toward the sun. If it moved faster, it would drift outward into darkness. Gravity holds the path, but motion shapes the outcome. The same is true for moons, comets, and asteroids. The whisper of falling apples is also the whisper of delicate balance, where every orbit is both fall and flight, descent and escape. The apple completes its fall quickly, but the planets stretch theirs into endless cycles, always moving, never arriving. At the heart of this is a sense of belonging. Gravity is not only a force, it is a bond. It ties things together, holds them in relationship. The apple belongs to Earth, the moon belongs to Earth, Earth belongs to the sun, and the sun belongs to the galaxy. Nothing is truly alone. Every object feels the presence of every other faintly or strongly across every distance. To fall is not to be abandoned, but to be held, to be drawn into connection. The apple's whisper is a reminder that we too are part of this web, bound by the same unseen embrace. So let us linger with the image of the orchard once more. Each apple falls in silence, but each fall is a story of the universe itself. It is a moment where the local and the cosmic meet, where the small reflects the great. To notice this is to hear the whisper more clearly, that gravity is not only about motion, but about unity. It is the law that ties the simple to the vast, the everyday to the eternal, and in that unity there is peace. For to fall is not to end, but to return to the embrace of the universe itself. The whisper of falling apples lingers long after the fruit has touched the ground. It is a whisper not only of gravity, but of continuity, of connection that stretches across time and space. When Newton glimpsed the unity between the apple's fall and the moon's orbit, he planted a seed of thought that still grows today. That seed has blossomed into physics as we know it, into equations that describe the motions of planets, into spacecraft that cross the solar system, into our ability to look outward and imagine the shape of the cosmos itself. What began with a simple fall has become the story of a universe held together by law. But the apple does more than teach us about the stars. It also teaches us about ourselves. Each of us is in a way always falling. We are held to the earth by the same embrace that draws fruit from the branch. Every step is a controlled fall, every leap a brief surrender to gravity before we return. When you walk beneath trees, when you rest in their shade, you are as much a participant in gravity as the apples above you. It is a law that does not separate the living from the non-living, the great from the small. It enfolds all equally, without judgment, without pause. This quiet impartiality is part of gravity's beauty. It acts the same for all, and it never forgets. From the smallest pebble to the mightiest star, the rule is constant. You could drop an apple in any orchard, on any continent, in any age, and its descent would follow the same curve. You could watch the orbit of a planet 1 billion years ago or 1 billion years hence, and the pattern would be guided by the same geometry. The law does not change with time. It is older than memory, older than life, older even than stars. It is a timeless promise carried in every fall. And yet gravity is not only a law of physics, it is also a source of metaphor, a mirror for human experience. We speak of being drawn to one another, of feeling the pull of love, of carrying the weight of sorrow. In these phrases, gravity slips quietly into our language, shaping the way we imagine our inner worlds. The apple's fall becomes more than science, it becomes symbol. Just as the earth holds us steady, so do the bonds we form hold our lives in place. Just as the moon's pull lifts the tides, so too can unseen forces stir the depths of the heart. The law of physics becomes a law of poetry. If we follow this thought further, we find that gravity is not merely downward, it is inward, binding, uniting. It holds planets in orbits, but it also holds atoms within stars. It gives shape to galaxies, pulling countless stars into spirals. Without it, there would be no suns, no light, no warmth for life to grow. The apple's fall is only a local glimpse of this vast weaving. To notice it is to recognize that the whole universe is shaped by the same quiet embrace. The fall is not just a descent, but a reminder of the attraction that holds the cosmos together. Even Einstein's vision of space-time curvature, though abstract and mathematical, carries a kind of elegance. To think of the apple moving along the curves of space itself is to realize that falling is not failure or loss. It is natural, effortless, inevitable. The apple does not struggle. It simply follows the path laid out by the shape of reality. Perhaps in this, too, lies a reflection for us. To fall is not always to be broken. Sometimes it is to follow the deeper currents, to return to the ground that waits, to be part of the larger order that gives shape to everything. The orchard becomes a place of meditation when seen this way. Beneath the trees, the air carries the scent of fruit, the sound of leaves rustling in the breeze, the weight of seasons turning. Each apple that ripens and falls is both ordinary and cosmic, both local and universal. It is part of the cycle of nourishment, part of the story of law, part of the fabric of connection. The earth catches it gently, the same way it catches you, the same way it holds the oceans, the mountains, and the sky. To sit in that orchard is to rest within the embrace of gravity itself. And so the whisper continues, not only in orchards but everywhere. In raindrops that fall, in rivers that run downhill, in stones that tumble from cliffs, in galaxies drawn together across the void. Everywhere things fall, everywhere they are held. The apple's story is the universe's story, retold endlessly in countless forms. What seems like a simple downward drift is actually a chapter in the endless narrative of attraction and belonging. To notice this is to hear the whisper more clearly, to realize that you too are part of the same descent and the same embrace. At last, the apple rests on the ground. Its journey from branch to earth is complete, yet its story does not end. It may be gathered and eaten, becoming part of another body. It may sink into the soil, nourishing roots. It may decay, its atoms released to air and earth, carried again into cycles of life. And through all of this, the laws still hold, still guiding the transformations. The fall was only the beginning. What follows is renewal, continuation, connection. Gravity's whisper is not about endings. It is about belonging, about the gentle pull toward home. So let us close with the thought that the whisper of falling apples is not only for scientists, nor only for orchards. It is for anyone who looks, who wonders, who pauses to see the ordinary with new eyes. The apple falls, and in that moment the universe reveals itself. The same law that draws galaxies together draws fruit to the ground, draws you to the earth, draws all things into relationship. The whisper is always there, soft and unbroken. To hear it is to know that you are never apart from the cosmos. You are always held, always part of its quiet, steady embrace. There is a fabric that no loom has woven, no hand has touched, and yet it stretches across all of existence. It is the fabric of time and space, the stage upon which every star shines, every planet spins, and every life begins and ends. You cannot see it with your eyes, nor touch it with your fingers, but you live within it always. It holds you as surely as the earth holds the apple, as surely as light holds the warmth of the sun. This fabric does not fray or loosen. It is the silent foundation of reality, the hidden threads that bind everything together. Once people thought of space as emptiness and time as a simple ticking clock. They seemed separate, simple, and unchanging. But the deeper we looked, the more mysterious they became. Space bends, time flows at different speeds. Together they form a single tapestry called spacetime, a unity revealed through the work of Albert Einstein. The apples fall and the orbit of planets were not only about gravity pulling objects, but about the shape of space itself, curving under the weight of matter. The threads of time and space do not remain straight. They bend, ripple, and weave, shaping the paths of all things. Imagine placing a heavy sphere on a stretched cloth. The cloth dips and smaller objects roll toward it, not because of an invisible pull, but because the surface itself is curved. This image, though simple, helps us glimpse the deeper truth. The Earth bends space-time. The Sun bends it more. Even you, with your small mass, make a faint indentation in the universal fabric. To move, to fall, to orbit is to follow the curves of this invisible weaving. Space is not emptiness. Time is not just a march of seconds. Together, they are an ocean in which all things drift, guided by the unseen currents of geometry. The threads of spacetime carry stories older than memory. When a star collapses into a black hole, the fabric bends so deeply that not even light can climb free. When two black holes spiral and merge, they send ripples through spacetime itself, gravitational waves that travel outward like the sound of a bell struck across the cosmos. These waves were first imagined by theory, then finally detected in the quiet hum of instruments on Earth, a century later. To detect them was to listen to the fabric itself, to hear the vibrations of the universe's hidden threads. Time, too, is woven into this fabric. It is not separate from space, but bound together with it. The faster you move, the slower time flows for you. The closer you are to massive bodies, the more time stretches and bends. This is not illusion, but reality, tested and measured with clocks so precise they can sense the difference in height between a mountaintop and a valley floor. You live in the flow of time, yet the flow is not the same everywhere. It is a river whose currents shift with gravity and speed, carrying each traveler differently, though always onward. To think of this is to feel wonder, but also calm. For if time and space are threads, then you are part of the weaving. Your moments are not isolated, they are connected to the larger tapestry. The steps you take, the breaths you draw, unfold within patterns that have held since the dawn of the cosmos. Stars ignite, galaxies drift, lives bloom and fade, all within the same boundless fabric. To rest within it is to rest within continuity itself, to know that you are part of something vast and unbroken. Consider light again, that constant traveler. It glides along the curves of spacetime, never hurrying, never slowing, always faithful to its speed. In this way, light becomes a guide to the structure of reality. By watching how it bends around stars, how it stretches as galaxies move away, we glimpse the threads themselves. Each photon is like a messenger, carrying with it information about the shape of the fabric it has crossed. To see light is to read the story of space-time, to glimpse the hidden order that holds everything together. Yet within this order there is mystery. What is time truly? Why should it flow forward and not backward? Why should space have 3 dimensions, not more or less? These questions remain open, like doorways not yet entered. Scientists can describe how space-time behaves, but the deeper essence of why it exists as it does remains veiled. Still, even without final answers, the laws are steady. They do not falter, even when we do not fully understand them. They carry us gently, as the river carries the leaf, as the wind carries the seed. The threads that bind time and space also bind memory and possibility. Your past is woven behind you, a trail of events held within the fabric. Your future stretches before you, shaped by the same laws that guided your yesterdays. You move through the tapestry moment by moment, stitch by stitch. And though you may not see the whole pattern, you are part of it, a thread among threads, essential to the completeness of the weave. In this, there is a quiet comfort, a sense of belonging to something infinite. So let us close this section with a thought as soft as the fabric itself. The universe is not scattered chaos, but a tapestry held by invisible threads. Time and space are not distant, not abstract. They are the ground beneath every step, the air within every breath, the horizon that frames every dream. You do not need to see the threads to feel them. You live in them always. And to know this is to feel a kind of peace, as though the universe itself is a vast, gentle cloth, wrapping all things in its silent embrace. If you pause for a moment and close your eyes, you may imagine time as a river. You feel its current carrying you forward, never backward, never still. But unlike rivers on Earth, this current is not the same everywhere. It bends, it slows, it stretches. Time flows differently at the edge of a mountain than it does at the bottom of a valley. Time moves more gently in the pull of Earth than in the openness of space. This is one of the quiet truths Einstein uncovered, that time itself is woven into the fabric of space, and that both bend together, shaping reality like threads on an invisible loom. Imagine 2 clocks, one resting at sea level and one perched high on a tower. Both tick steadily but not the same. The clock in the tower, away from the deeper pull of Earth's gravity, ticks ever so slightly faster. The difference is so small you cannot sense it, but precise instruments can. This is not magic. It is the nature of space-time itself, bending under mass and shaping the flow of time. Even the tiniest differences remind us that the laws of physics are not rigid cages but flowing symmetries, subtle and profound. Consider also the way motion changes time. Astronauts traveling at great speeds return home with their clocks behind those on Earth. Time has passed more slowly for them, not as an illusion but as a fact of reality. In this way, time becomes a companion that treats each traveler differently, depending on how they move and where they rest. And yet, though the currents vary, the fabric holds. No matter how time stretches, it never tears. The weaving of space and time remains whole, carrying galaxies and raindrops alike. The bending of space is no less wondrous. When starlight passes near the sun, it curves, following the dip in spacetime created by the sun's mass. This was first confirmed during an eclipse, when stars that should have been hidden appeared slightly shifted, their light bent by the unseen threads of reality. To witness this was to see the universe reveal its fabric, not through imagination alone but through observation. The cosmos was not only vast, it was curved, flexible, alive with hidden geometry. The apple's fall was now joined by the bending of starlight, both whispers of the same law. From this discovery arose the idea of gravitational lenses, where galaxies and clusters bend the light of more distant galaxies behind them. The sky becomes a mirror of distortions, shapes stretched and doubled by the fabric's curves. These lenses reveal galaxies too far and faint to see otherwise, turning the universe into its own magnifying glass. Once more, the threads of spacetime show not only their subtlety but their generosity, offering glimpses of what would otherwise remain hidden. The bending of light becomes a window into the distant past, letting us see galaxies as they were billions of years ago. And then there are the ripples. When 2 black holes collide, they send out waves across the fabric of spacetime, like ripples on a pond. These waves travel vast distances, carrying with them the memory of violent events in the silent darkness. Instruments on Earth, sensitive enough to detect emotions smaller than a fraction of an atom, have felt these ripples. To sense them is to place a hand on the pulse of the cosmos, to listen to the echoes of ancient dances between massive bodies. The threads are not still, they vibrate with the history of the universe. But perhaps the most profound aspect of spacetime is its inseparability. Space and time cannot be pulled apart, cannot exist independently. A moment is always somewhere, a place is always somewhen. They are coordinates on the same fabric, two aspects of a single reality. To exist is to occupy both, to be woven into both. Every action, every thought, every motion takes its place upon this loom, becoming part of the tapestry. In this way, you are never outside of time and space. You are always within, always part of the weaving. And yet there are mysteries that remain beyond even Einstein's vision. What lies at the heart of a black hole, where spacetime curves to an infinite depth? What came before the first moment, when the fabric of time itself began? Why does the universe expand, stretching the threads wider and wider? These questions remain unanswered, but the laws hold steady nonetheless. The mystery is not a flaw, but a feature, a reminder that the fabric is greater than our understanding, richer than our imagination. To live within it is to live within both knowledge and wonder. On smaller scales, the fabric shows itself in more intimate ways. The Earth's gravity holds your body, shapes the flow of your blood, guides the air into your lungs. You do not feel the bending of spacetime as strain, but as steadiness. You are held in place, cradled by the same curvature that holds mountains and seas. Even in silence, you are wrapped in the geometry of existence. Each step you take is not on a flat plane, but along a curved path through spacetime. A path shaped by Earth's mass, by the sun's presence, by the galaxy's embrace. So the threads that bind time and space are not distant abstractions. They are the fabric you live within, the quiet order beneath every moment. They bend to hold stars, ripple to carry waves, stretch to reveal ancient light. They cradle you as you move, as you breathe, as you wonder. And though you may not see them, though you may never touch them, they are always here, constant and unbroken. To know this is to feel the calm of belonging, to recognize that your life is a stitch in the universe's tapestry, a part of the endless weaving that binds all things together. The fabric of spacetime is not just a stage for the universe, it is the universe itself. To live within it is to be part of its weaving, to move through its patterns whether you notice them or not. When you walk across a room, when you look at the stars, when you feel the weight of your body upon the earth, you are not apart from this fabric. You are a thread within it, a line that bends and curves, a moment stitched into eternity. The threads of time and space do not merely surround you. They include you, carrying your existence as gently as they carry galaxies. The vastness of this fabric is difficult to imagine. Stretch your mind outward, past Earth and Sun, past the spirals of our galaxy, past clusters upon clusters of galaxies, and still the threads extend. The universe is not only filled with stars and dust, but with the geometry that holds them in place. Space stretches like an endless cloth, and time flows like the current that runs through it. And as the cosmos expands, that cloth stretches ever wider, carrying galaxies farther apart while still keeping them bound within the same tapestry. Expansion itself is part of the law, a rhythm of stretching that began at the first moment. Yet within this vastness there is intimacy. The same laws that shape galaxies also shape your breath. The bending of spacetime near Earth keeps you held, while the flow of time carries you steadily forward. The heartbeat within your chest, the spark of thought within your mind, all occur within the fabric. You are not adrift, you are not separate. You are a participant in the same weaving that binds stars together, bound by the same symmetry that curves light and stretches time. To realize this is to feel not small, but connected, woven into the same cloth that holds all things. There is also beauty in the way spacetime allows order and creativity to coexist. It provides structure, but within that structure, infinite possibilities unfold. Stars may burn for billions of years, yet no two galaxies are alike. Time flows forward for all, yet every life follows its own path. The fabric does not dictate sameness, it provides the ground upon which difference can flourish. Just as threads of many colors can form endless patterns in a tapestry, the single fabric of spacetime holds countless forms of being, countless variations of light, motion, and story. Consider how this fabric carries memory. Light from distant galaxies travels for billions of years before reaching your eyes. When you look at the night sky, you are not seeing stars as they are now, but as they were long ago. The fabric of spacetime preserves these moments, stretching them across distance, delivering them to you like ancient letters sent from the past. In this way, the sky becomes a book of memory, written in starlight. To gaze upward is to read the history of the cosmos, to touch the past through the threads that bind time and space. But the fabric does not only hold memory, it also carries possibility. The future is woven ahead, not yet known, but already framed by the laws that guide the unfolding. Just as the apple will fall, just as the earth will circle the sun, there is order in what is yet to come. And within that order, there is room for wonder, for discovery, for life to bloom in new forms. The threads are steady, but the patterns they allow are infinite. To live within them is to live within a promise of both continuity and surprise. There are places, however, where the threads draw tight, where mystery deepens. At the heart of black holes, the fabric curves to a point where equations falter, where known laws lose their clarity. What lies there remains unknown, perhaps forever hidden. And yet, even in these places of mystery, the fabric still holds. The black hole does not break the universe. It becomes part of it, another expression of its geometry, another reminder that the threads are stronger than our understanding. Mystery itself is part of the weave, part of the beauty. In the quiet of daily life, you may not think of these threads. You may see only the ground beneath your feet, the hours on the clock, the turning of seasons. But beneath each is the fabric of space-time, unbroken and constant. The ground holds because of gravity's curve. The hours pass because time flows steadily forward. The seasons return because Earth's orbit follows its path along the fabric's shape. Every ordinary moment is touched by extraordinary law. To notice this is to feel a deeper stillness, a sense that you are resting always in something larger. And so the threads that bind time and space are not only scientific truths, they are also sources of peace. They remind us that we are not lost in chaos but held in order. They remind us that our moments are part of something timeless, our lives part of something infinite. You may never see the fabric with your eyes, but you can feel its presence in every fall, every orbit, every breath. It is always here, silent and patient, carrying galaxies, carrying you. To rest in this thought is to feel a calm as wide as the universe, a quiet assurance that you belong to the unbroken weaving of reality. Let us end with this reflection. Time and space are not emptiness, not absence. They are the canvas of existence, the loom upon which creation is endlessly woven. The threads are strong, steady, and subtle. Holding stars and dreams alike, you are part of this tapestry, a line that bends and flows, essential to the whole. And though the universe stretches far beyond imagination, you are never outside its fabric. You are always within it, always connected, always bound by the gentle threads that tie all things together. The universe is never still. Even in the quietest moments, when you lie beneath the sky and feel as though everything is resting, there is motion hidden in every direction. The Earth spins gently, carrying you eastward toward the dawn. The planet orbits the sun, sweeping through space at tremendous speed. The sun itself moves within the spiral arms of the galaxy, and the galaxy drifts within the cosmic web. What feels like rest is never truly rest at all. Instead, it is the silent dance of motion and stillness, a balance that has shaped every rhythm of existence. From the smallest atom to the largest cluster of galaxies, motion is everywhere. Electrons swirl around their nuclei, clouds of probability shifting like whispers of smoke. Air molecules bump and scatter, filling your lungs with every breath. Rivers flow, winds drift, seeds scatter across fields. Even the stones beneath your feet, seemingly frozen, are filled with vibrations at the atomic level, their particles quivering with hidden energy. Stillness is never truly still. It is only motion too small or too constant for your senses to notice. The universe is always dancing. And yet we speak of rest, of stillness, as though such a thing exists. Perhaps what we mean is balance. When motion is gentle, when its rhythm is steady, we feel at peace. A pendulum swings until friction slows it. A child spins and then grows still. A planet circles endlessly, never tiring, because there is no friction in the vacuum of space to pull it down. Inertia keeps it moving, momentum carries it forward. Rest and motion become partners, inseparable and interwoven. What seems like stillness is only a harmony of forces, a pause in the ceaseless unfolding. Consider a leaf drifting down from a tree. It spins, sways, pauses, and falls again. To the eye, it looks like gentle stillness, but every curve of its path is written by physics. Gravity pulls it downward, air resists its fall. The shape of the leaf catches currents and eddies. Within its descent lies the balance between motion and rest. It never moves without cause, and it never halts without reason. The leaf, in its quiet journey, becomes a teacher of laws, a soft reminder that all motion is part of a larger dance. The laws of motion, first described by Isaac Newton, are both simple and profound. They tell us that an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion, unless acted upon by an outside force. They tell us that force equals mass times acceleration, and that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. These truths shape everything from the leap of a frog to the launch of a rocket, from the swing of a pendulum to the orbit of planets. They are the grammar of the universe's dance, the rules by which motion and rest weave together. But these laws are not rigid commands. They are gentle descriptions of what is already happening, patterns written into the fabric of reality. The apple falls not because it chooses, but because motion and force unfold as they must. The ball rolls to a stop not because its motion has ended, but because friction quietly steals its energy, warming the ground and air. Nothing is ever lost, only shifted. The dance continues, energy passing from one form to another, motion flowing into heat, heat into light, light into growth. The steps are endless, the partners unbroken. Even in sleep, your body is part of this dance. Your chest rises and falls, your blood flows, your cells exchange energy. You are never truly still. Life itself is motion, a constant exchange of particles and forces. Rest, as you feel it, is only the balancing of energies, the soft rhythm of the body finding harmony with its surroundings. In this way, the silent dance of motion and rest is not only cosmic but deeply personal. You are both dancer and audience, moving within a choreography older than time. Think now of the stars. They burn because matter falls inward under gravity, while nuclear fire pushes outward, the two in perfect balance. Without motion, stars would collapse. Without rest, they would scatter. It is the balance between these two that allows them to shine, to send their light across space. Galaxies spin, their stars in orbit, balanced between the pull of gravity and the flight of momentum. Everywhere the same truth repeats. Motion and rest are never enemies but partners, each giving meaning to the other. The silence of this dance is part of its beauty. You do not hear the earth spinning beneath you, nor the planets circling the sun. You do not hear the galaxies drifting apart, nor the atoms vibrating within your bones. And yet, all of this is happening at once always unbroken. The silence is not emptiness, it is harmony. To live within this silence is to be carried by motion so steady and vast that it feels like stillness. You are never separate from it, you are always part of its steps. So in the end, rest is not the absence of motion. It is the perception of balance, the sense of being carried in a rhythm so gentle that you no longer feel its sway. To stand, to sit, to breathe, to dream, all are acts within the silent dance. The universe does not pause, but it holds you in such steady motion that you may rest within it. And in this thought there is calm, for no matter how small or fleeting you feel, you are always a participant in the cosmic dance of motion and rest, a dancer woven into the music of existence. The dance of motion and rest continues across every scale, from the spinning of galaxies to the swaying of grass in the wind. Each motion tells a story, each pause reflects a balance. In the smallest particle, energy hums in ceaseless vibration. In the grandest structures of the cosmos, galaxies drift apart in the slow rhythm of cosmic expansion. To say that something rests is only to say that its motion is hidden or that its balance is perfect. Stillness is never truly the absence of movement, it is the harmony of forces at play. Think of a pendulum swinging back and forth. At the highest point, it seems to pause, suspended in stillness. Yet even here, motion has not vanished. The energy of its swing is stored, ready to carry it downward again. At the lowest point, its speed is greatest, momentum flowing through it like a current. In this way, rest and motion become partners in a cycle, exchanging roles in endless rhythm. What seems like rest is only energy waiting. What seems like motion is energy revealed. The pendulum is a small echo of the larger universe, where every pause hides a flow, and every flow hides a pause. On Earth, friction and resistance weave themselves into this dance. A rolling ball slows because the ground beneath it resists. A bird gliding through the air must push against its invisible thickness. Even a leaf drifting down feels the brush of molecules on its surface. Resistance is not an enemy of motion, it is part of the balance that gives meaning to motion. Without it, every step would slide, every movement would drift without end. With it, we find rhythm, stability, and rest. Life is lived not in pure motion, nor in pure stillness, but in the interplay between the two. In the cosmos, where friction is absent, the dance takes a different form. A planet circles the sun endlessly, its motion never fading because there is no air to slow it, no ground to resist it. A comet carries its icy heart along a path that repeats for millennia, its journey unbroken except by the gentle tug of gravity. In space, motion is pure, unresisted, a song that continues without end. Rest in such places is not stopping but balance, the balance of forces that keeps the orbit steady, the spiral unbroken. What seems eternal is still the same dance, played on a grander stage. Einstein showed us that even motion and rest depend on where you stand. To one observer, you may be still. To another, you may be moving swiftly. A passenger on a train feels at rest in their seat, though to someone outside, they rush across the landscape. There is no absolute stillness, no universal place of rest. Motion is always relative, always seen in relation to something else. This truth softens the line between motion and rest, weaving them together as perspectives on the same unfolding. The dance becomes not absolute, but relational, shared between all who watch and move. Consider now the balance of forces that hold stars together. Gravity pulls inward, trying to collapse the star into itself. Nuclear fusion pushes outward as atoms collide and release energy. The two forces balance in a dance so perfect that stars can burn for billions of years. Without this balance, the star would collapse into darkness or explode in an instant. Instead, the harmony sustains light, warmth, and life. Rest and motion are not separate here. They are the steady rhythm of pressure and release, attraction and resistance, holding the star in its shining state. This pattern repeats in the lives of planets. Earth moves around the sun not because it resists rest, but because it is always falling. Gravity pulls it inward, but its sideways motion keeps it in orbit. Falling becomes flight, and flight becomes falling, the two merging into one endless circle. Here too, rest and motion are partners. Earth does not crash inward, nor does it fly outward into darkness. It rests within its path, moving always, balanced always. The silent dance carries the world, season after season, age after age. On the scale of human life, you feel this dance in your own body. Muscles tighten and release as you walk. Each step is a fall into motion, caught by balance, steadied by rhythm. Your heart beats raise. Ting between contractions, motion and pause woven into each pulse. Even your breath is a cycle of stillness and flow, the inhale filling, the exhale releasing, the pause between as gentle as silence. Life itself is this dance, sustained by the ceaseless rhythm of motion and rest, carried within you as surely as in the stars. The universe also carries this rhythm in tides, drawn by the moon's pull. The waters rise and fall, their motion endless, their pauses balanced. To watch the tide is to watch the same truth as the pendulum, as the orbit, as the breath. What rises must fall, what moves must balance, what pauses must move again. The dance is not local, it is universal, connecting oceans to orbits, bodies to galaxies, atoms to stars. Each motion is a step in a choreography that never falters, never ceases, never ends. And yet the most comforting thought is that you are never outside this dance. Whether you move swiftly or lie in stillness, whether you act or rest, you are part of the same unfolding. The balance of forces holds you, guides you, carries you. You are not required to keep the rhythm, it is already there, ancient and unbroken. To notice it is to feel peace. To rest within it is to belong. The silent dance of motion and rest is not a performance to be watched from afar. It is life itself, and you are one of its dancers, always moving, always balanced, always carried by the quiet music of the universe. The dance of motion and rest continues across every scale, from the spinning of galaxies to the swaying of grass in the wind. Each motion tells a story, each pause reflects a balance. In the smallest particle, energy hums in ceaseless vibration. In the grandest structures of the cosmos, galaxies drift apart in the slow rhythm of cosmic expansion. To say that something rests is only to say that its motion is hidden or that its balance is perfect. Stillness is never truly the absence of movement, it is the harmony of forces at play. Think of a pendulum swinging back and forth. At the highest point, it seems to pause, suspended in stillness. Yet even here, motion has not vanished. The energy of its swing is stored, ready to carry it downward again. At the lowest point, its speed is greatest, momentum flowing through it like a current. In this way, rest and motion become partners in a cycle, exchanging roles in endless rhythm. What seems like rest is only energy waiting. What seems like motion is energy revealed. The pendulum is a small echo of the larger universe, where every pause hides a flow, and every flow hides a pause. On Earth, friction and resistance weave themselves into this dance. A rolling ball slows because the ground beneath it resists. A bird gliding through the air must push against its invisible thickness. Even a leaf drifting down feels the brush of molecules on its surface. Resistance is not an enemy of motion, it is part of the balance that gives meaning to motion. Without it, every step would slide, every movement would drift without end. With it, we find rhythm, stability, and rest. Life is lived not in pure motion, nor in pure stillness, but in the interplay between the two. In the cosmos, where friction is absent, the dance takes a different form. A planet circles the sun endlessly, its motion never fading because there is no air to slow it, no ground to resist it. A comet carries its icy heart along a path that repeats for millennia, its journey unbroken except by the gentle tug of gravity. In space, motion is pure, unresisted, a song that continues without end. Rest in such places is not stopping but balance, the balance of forces that keeps the orbit steady, the spiral unbroken. What seems eternal is still the same dance, played on a grander stage. Einstein showed us that even motion and rest depend on where you stand. To one observer, you may be still. To another, you may be moving swiftly. A passenger on a train feels at rest in their seat, though to someone outside, they rush across the landscape. There is no absolute stillness, no universal place of rest. Motion is always relative, always seen in relation to something else. This truth softens the line between motion and rest, weaving them together as perspectives on the same unfolding. The dance becomes not absolute, but relational, shared between all who watch and move. Consider now the balance of forces that hold stars together. Gravity pulls inward, trying to collapse the star into itself. Nuclear fusion pushes outward as atoms collide and release energy. The two forces balance in a dance so perfect that stars can burn for billions of years. Without this balance, the star would collapse into darkness or explode in an instant. Instead, the harmony sustains light, warmth, and life. Rest and motion are not separate here. They are the steady rhythm of pressure and release, attraction and resistance, holding the star in its shining state. This pattern repeats in the lives of planets. Earth moves around the sun not because it resists rest, but because it is always falling. Gravity pulls it inward, but its sideways motion keeps it in orbit. Falling becomes flight, and flight becomes falling, the two merging into one endless circle. Here too, rest and motion are partners. Earth does not crash inward, nor does it fly outward into darkness. It rests within its path, moving always, balanced always. The silent dance carries the world, season after season, age after age. On the scale of human life, you feel this dance in your own body. Muscles tighten and release as you walk. Each step is a fall into motion, caught by balance, steadied by rhythm. Your heart beats, resting between contractions, motion and pause woven into each pulse. Even your breath is a cycle of stillness and flow, the inhale filling, the exhale releasing, the pause between as gentle as silence. Life itself is this dance, sustained by the ceaseless rhythm of motion and rest, carried within you as surely as in the stars. The universe also carries this rhythm in tides, drawn by the moon's pull. The waters rise and fall, their motion endless, their pauses balanced. To watch the tide is to watch the same truth as the pendulum, as the orbit, as the breath. What rises must fall, what moves must balance, what pauses must move again. The dance is not local, it is universal, connecting oceans to orbits, bodies to galaxies, atoms to stars. Each motion is a step in a choreography that never falters, never ceases, never ends. And yet the most comforting thought is that you are never outside this dance. Whether you move swiftly or lie in stillness, whether you act or rest, you are part of the same unfolding. The balance of forces holds you, guides you, carries you. You are not required to keep the rhythm, it is already there, ancient and unbroken. To notice it is to feel peace. To rest within it is to belong. The silent dance of motion and rest is not a performance to be watched from afar. It is life itself, and you are one of its dancers, always moving, always balanced, always carried by the quiet music of the universe. The dance of motion and rest is older than memory, older than the stars themselves. From the first moments of the universe, when particles scattered in the newborn fire of creation, motion and stillness have been interwoven. Expansion carried matter outward, while gravity gathered it together. In this balance, galaxies formed, stars ignited, and planets began their long journeys. To exist at all is to take part in this ancient choreography, to be moved and held by the same quiet rhythm that shaped the cosmos from its first breath. Think again of Newton's laws, those simple truths that describe how things move and how they rest. They are not only rules for objects in experiments, they are the grammar of existence. They tell us that motion continues unless something interrupts it, that rest continues unless something disturbs it. They remind us that every push has an answer, every action a reflection. These truths are everywhere, from the arc of a ball through the air to the turning of entire galaxies. The laws do not tire, do not falter, do not forget. They carry on, guiding each step of the dance. And yet behind these laws lies something deeper, the sense that rest and motion are not opposites but companions. Motion without rest would be chaos, a storm without pause. Rest without motion would be silence without return, an emptiness that could not sustain life. Together they create rhythm, the rise and fall, the ebb and flow. This rhythm is not only in physics but in life itself. It is in the heartbeat that pulses and pauses, in the breath that fills and empties, in the tides that rise and fall. It is in the alternation of day and night, of seasons turning, of life blooming and fading. Consider the stillness of night. To the senses, it feels as though the world has paused, as though motion has stepped aside. But overhead the stars are circling, the earth is spinning, the galaxy itself is in motion. What feels like stillness is only balance, only harmony too vast and steady to notice. The silence of night is not absence, but motion wrapped in calm. In this way, the perception of rest is a gift, allowing you to feel peace even as the cosmos continues its endless dance. The same is true of life's smaller moments. A moment of stillness in thought, a pause between words, a rest in music, all are part of motion's larger flow. Without the pauses, the music would blur. Without the silences, words would lose their meaning. Rest gives shape to motion, just as motion gives life to rest. The two are inseparable, bound together like inhale and exhale, like light and shadow, like the turning of earth itself. To rest is not to escape motion, but to join it in balance. Physics teaches this in every detail. Momentum carries objects forward until friction gently slows them. Energy moves through systems, flowing and shifting, but never disappearing, even. Motion seems to end, it is only transformed into warmth, into sound, into vibration. Rest is never absolute. It is the reshaping of motion, the quiet continuation of energy in subtler forms. What appears still is alive with hidden dances, with atoms quivering, with forces in balance. Stillness is only the surface of motion, calm upon an ocean of unseen rhythms. The stars themselves teach us this lesson. When a star dies, it may collapse into silence, into the stillness of a white dwarf or the quiet density of a neutron star. Yet even here the dance continues. Electrons press together, neutrons hold firm, gravity and quantum forces balance in strange harmony. Rest and motion interlace in forms beyond human experience, yet always within the same law. Even in death, a star participates in the silent dance, transformed but not ended. The rhythm carries on, as it always has. For us, the dance is not only cosmic but personal. In our lives, we move through cycles of activity and rest, energy and pause. We wake and sleep, act and reflect, speak and fall silent. Each pause restores, each motion creates. To live fully is not to cling to one or the other, but to honor both. To rest when rest is needed, to move when motion is called. The universe does not resist this balance, and neither should we. For in balance lies harmony, and in harmony lies peace. Perhaps the greatest wonder is that the same dance occurs across all scales. From the trembling of atoms to the swirling of galaxies, the rhythm is the same. It is the music of inertia and force, of action and response, of rest and motion. To feel yourself part of it is to feel at home in the cosmos, not as an outsider, but as a participant. You are not separate from the dance, you are one of its steps, one of its beats, one of its quiet pauses. So let us close this story with a reflection. Stillness and motion are not enemies but companions, not contradictions but partners. The universe is built upon their embrace, upon the rhythm they create together. Every falling leaf, every circling planet, every heartbeat, every breath is a note in their endless song. To notice this is to feel wonder. To live within it is to feel calm. The silent dance of motion and rest carries you always, cradles you always, and will continue long after you are gone, unbroken and eternal. It is the music of existence, soft and steady, and you are part of its song. Light is the most ancient of messengers. Long before life stirred on Earth, long before the planets formed, light was already moving through space, carrying the memory of stars, scattering across dust, weaving brightness into the dark. You see it each morning as dawn spills softly across the horizon. You feel it in the warmth of the sun upon your skin. You trust it to guide your eyes, to reveal the world around you. Yet behind its calm radiance lies a story of equations, simple and profound, that describe the nature of light itself. These equations are not only mathematics, they are poetry written into the universe, the hidden rhythm of brightness woven into reality. The story of light is one of both mystery and clarity. For centuries, people wondered what it truly was. Was it a particle traveling like dust? Was it a wave rippling like sound? Experiments seemed to show both, and in a way, both were true. Light behaves as a wave when it spreads, bends, and interferes, yet as a particle when it strikes with sudden force, one photon at a time. It is both and neither, a duality that resists simple categories. The equations that describe it capture this paradox, showing how the wave and the particle are not opposites, but partners in a deeper truth. James Clerk Maxwell was one of the first to write these truths clearly. In the 19th century, he joined electricity and magnetism into a single story, showing that changing electric fields create magnetic fields, and changing magnetic fields create electric ones. Together, they form waves that travel through space, and those waves are light. With his equations, Maxwell revealed that light is not a separate thing but the shimmering dance of electricity and magnetism, bound together forever. To see a beam of sunlight is to see this dance, an electromagnetic wave weaving brightness into space. Imagine waves rolling across the surface of the sea. They rise and fall, carrying energy forward while the water itself stays nearly in place. Light behaves the same way, though instead of water, it ripples through fields of electricity and magnetism. Each crest and trough is a change in those invisible fields, moving at a constant speed, the speed of light itself. No matter where or how you measure it, light always travels at this speed, steady and unchanging. It is one of the deepest constants of nature, a foundation upon which the fabric of time and space is built. Einstein showed that the constancy of light is not merely a detail, but a cornerstone of reality. If light always moves at the same speed, then time and space must bend to preserve that constancy. Moving faster slows the flow of time. Standing near massive bodies stretches time itself. The universe bends around light's loyalty to its speed. In this way, the equations of light are not only about brightness and vision, they are about the very shape of reality, about the way time and space adjust themselves to remain faithful to this cosmic rhythm. Light also carries energy in subtle ways. A photon, though massless, has momentum. It can push, however softly, upon objects it strikes. Sunlight falling upon a comet's tail can bend it outward. Light striking solar sails can push spacecraft across the void. In these ways, light becomes both messenger and traveler, carrying energy from place to place, guiding the flow of matter in silence. The equations describe this as well, capturing how waves and particles both contribute to light's quiet strength. What feels intangible is, in truth, capable of shaping worlds. And yet light is not only science, it is also sensation. You see its colors spread across a rainbow, each wavelength bending differently in droplets of rain. You see its warmth shimmer on summer fields or its pale glow on winter snow. Each color, each shimmer is part of the spectrum described by equations: infrared and ultraviolet, radio waves and X-rays, all part of the same family of electromagnetic waves. What your eyes see is only a small slice of this vast spectrum, a narrow window into the fullness of light. Beyond vision, light stretches endlessly, carrying with it secrets too fine or too powerful for human sight. To think of light in this way is to realize that the universe is constantly speaking, constantly sending messages in waves of brightness. Every star sends light outward, carrying the story of its temperature, its size, its age. Galaxies send light that travels for billions of years, reaching Earth as faint glimmers from the distant past. Even the universe itself carries a faint glow, the cosmic microwave background, the afterlight of creation, still filling space with its soft presence. To see light is to read the history of existence, to glimpse the memory of time itself. And so the equations woven into light are not cold or lifeless. They are gentle truths, describing a phenomenon that touches every life. You feel their work in the warmth of sunlight, in the glint of stars, in the colors of the world. They are laws that do not command but describe, laws that reveal the hidden harmony of fields and waves. To rest in their truth is to feel wonder, to recognize that light is both a tool and a mystery, both equation and poetry. The universe is brighter because these laws hold, because light flows unbroken across the fabric of time and space. So the next time you see sunlight streaming through leaves or moonlight spilling across water, pause for a moment. Behind that beauty lies the gentle mathematics of fields and waves, of photons and energy. The equations are invisible, but they are there, holding the rhythm of light steady, keeping its constancy unbroken. Light is both symbol and reality, both experience and truth. And in its silent shining, it carries not only energy but meaning, the calm assurance that the universe has order, and that brightness is part of its eternal design. Light has always been both a guide and a mystery. For ancient humans, it was the flame that held back the dark, the sun that marked the days, the stars that mapped the sky. Long before equations were written, people felt its importance in their bones. They gathered stories about light, telling of fire stolen from the gods, of dawn reborn each morning, of lamps that never died. Light was not only survival but symbol, a thread between life and meaning. And yet behind those myths was always the same steady phenomenon, the unbroken presence of electromagnetic waves moving silently through space. As science grew, the mystery deepened rather than diminished. Experiments showed that light bends when it passes from air into water, shifting angles like a dancer changing direction. It splits into colors when refracted through glass, revealing that white light is not pure but composed of many wavelengths. It interferes with itself, creating patterns of brightness and shadow when two beams cross. These were not accidents, but the language of waves, the subtle behavior of fields in motion. To study light was to glimpse order hidden beneath beauty, equations that explain the arc of rainbows and the shimmer of soap bubbles. Maxwell's equations revealed the essence of this order. 4 simple statements joined electricity and magnetism into one, predicting the existence of waves moving at a constant speed. That speed turned out to be the speed of light. With that, the connection became clear. Light was not separate from the forces already known, but a part of them, their visible face. The sun shines because nuclear reactions create charged particles in motion, generating light as electromagnetic waves. Lightning flashes because electric fields shift violently, producing light. A glowing ember, a firefly's spark, a star's flare, all are expressions of the same equations, the same hidden harmony. But equations are not enough to capture the poetry of light. They describe how fields change and propagate, how energy moves, how waves ripple outward. Yet when light strikes your eyes, it is not numbers you experience, but vision, color, warmth, and memory. A sunset is not only wavelengths scattering in the atmosphere. It is also the glow of day turning to night, the calm of endings, the promise of rest. A candle flame is not only combustion producing photons. It is also intimacy, presence, stillness. The equations hold the truth, but the truth is larger than symbols can contain. It is felt as well as known. Einstein deepened the mystery by showing how light shapes time itself. If light always travels at the same speed, then motion and time must adjust. This is why clocks moving quickly tick more slowly, why time bends near massive stars. Light is the anchor around which the fabric of reality bends. To measure it is to measure the limits of space and time. The photon with no mass moves always at this speed, a traveler that experiences no passage of time, existing in motion alone. To think of this is to touch a paradox. Light, which illuminates all things, exists outside the flow of time that it reveals. Light is also the messenger of the cosmos. Every star sends its glow outward, carrying information about its heat, size, and distance. Astronomers learn the nature of stars not by touching them, but by studying their light, splitting it into spectra, reading its lines like words on a page. The color of starlight reveals temperature, the shifts in its wavelength reveal motion, the faintness of its glow reveals distance. In this way, light becomes language, a universal script by which the universe tells its story. To read light is to listen to the cosmos, to hear the voices of suns and galaxies across the ages. And beyond stars, light carries the memory of the beginning itself. The faint microwave glow that fills all of space, discovered in the 20th century, is the afterlight of the Big Bang, stretched thin by the expansion of the universe. It is light from a time when matter first cooled enough for atoms to form, billions of years ago. To detect this glow is to touch the oldest light, a whisper from creation still present in the night around you. It is the faint background upon which every star and planet shines, a reminder that light has been part of the universe's story from the very first moments. Yet light is not endless in its reach. It can be absorbed, scattered, blocked. A forest canopy filters sunlight into patterns of shade, clouds soften and diffuse it. Dust between galaxies dims its brightness, hiding what lies beyond. And still, light persists, finding paths, bending around obstacles, scattering into color. Even in its limitations, it reveals truth. The shadows you see are as much a part of light's behavior as the brightness itself. Darkness is not the absence of law, but the partner of illumination, the space where light has not reached, or where it has been absorbed into new forms. On Earth, light sustains life. Plants open their leaves to absorb it, turning photons into sugars through the slow alchemy of photosynthesis. Every bite of food you eat carries the memory of sunlight, stored in molecules crafted by this process. Your body burns these molecules, releasing the stored light as energy for your cells. In this sense, you too are woven of light, your life powered by photons born in the sun's core. The equations that describe light are not only abstract, they are written in your muscles, in your thoughts, in your heartbeat. You live because light moves. Even in darkness, you carry light within you. The fire of metabolism is sunlight transformed, stored energy released in warmth and motion. The glow of neurons firing is electricity, guided by the same laws that bind light and magnetism. The sparkle in an eye, the shimmer of fireflies, the shimmer of stars above all are connected by the same laws. You are part of the luminous chain, one link in the unbroken thread of brightness that stretches across the cosmos. The equations woven into light describe not only distant stars, but also you here and now, alive because light has flowed across time and space. So in the end, the study of light is not only a scientific pursuit, it is a meditation on being. To see light is to see connection, to see the laws of physics made visible, to see history written in waves. To feel it is to feel warmth, guidance, and belonging. The equations are steady, constant, and true, but what they describe is something that also stirs wonder, beauty, and calm. Light is both fact and metaphor, both wave and particle, both number and poetry. It is woven into everything. Present, always gentle, always guiding us toward the infinite horizon of the universe. Light is the thread that ties beginnings to endings, the silent traveler that carries memory across space and time. It leaves a star and journeys outward, never pausing, never slowing, never faltering. Perhaps it will strike a planet, perhaps it will wander forever through the vastness. Wherever it goes, it carries information about where it came from, about the path it traveled, about the laws that shaped its motion. In this way, light is not only energy but story. The equations that describe it are the alphabet of this story, simple symbols that hold within them the vastness of the universe. The duality of light, both particle and wave, is a reminder of the universe's subtlety. A single photon may strike an atom, knocking an electron into motion like a tiny pebble tossed into a pond. Yet at the same time, countless photons together ripple outward as waves, interfering and overlapping, bending and spreading. Neither description is complete without the other. The equations of quantum mechanics and electromagnetism hold both truths, uniting them into a single picture. To think of this is to see that reality itself is not simple, but layered, woven of many threads that only together form the full fabric. Even in its smallest expressions, light changes the world. When it strikes the retina of your eye, it triggers chemical shifts that send signals to your brain. Vision begins with photons, each one carrying the shape of the world into your mind. Every color you see is a wavelength of light, every shadow a place where photons were blocked or absorbed. The equations that describe refraction, reflection, and absorption explain the patterns of your sight, but the experience itself is richer than numbers. It is the joy of color, the peace of twilight, the wonder of starlight overhead. Light also defines the boundaries of possibility. Because nothing can travel faster than it, it becomes the measure of distance and time. Astronomers speak of light years. The distance light travels in a year, not as an abstraction, but as a real scale of the cosmos. To say a star is 10 light years away is to say its light has traveled for a decade before reaching your eyes. To look at galaxies billions of light years away is to look billions of years into the past. The equations give us these numbers, but what they mean is that every glance into the night sky is also a glance into history. And still the mystery remains. Why does light travel at the speed it does, neither faster nor slower? Why does it carry both wave and particle nature? Why does it shape time and space themselves? These are questions without final answers, doorways still unopened. Yet the lack of answers does not diminish the wonder. It deepens it, reminding us that the equations are not the end of the story, but the beginning. They are the language that points toward mysteries still unfolding, mysteries that invite us to keep looking, keep wondering, keep listening to the brightness woven through existence. The reach of light extends beyond what our eyes can see. Radio waves hum across the atmosphere, carrying voices, music, and data. Infrared light warms the skin, though it lies outside visible color. Ultraviolet rays leave their mark in sunlight, shaping health and life. X-rays reveal bones, gamma rays hint at cosmic cataclysms. All of these are light, different expressions of the same electromagnetic wave. The equations embrace them all, showing that the difference between a song on the radio and the glow of a star is only wavelength, only frequency, only another variation in the universal rhythm of light. Perhaps the most humbling thought is that everything you know, everything you see, comes to you through light. The stars overhead, the faces of those you love, the words on this page, all are delivered by photons, traveling from one place to another, carrying information to your eyes. Without light, the universe would be invisible, unknowable. It is the bridge between being and knowing, between the world and your awareness of it. The equations woven into light make this bridge possible, steady and unbroken. They are the quiet assurance that vision, warmth, and connection will always be carried forward. And yet light is not only external, you carry it within you. The energy that powers your body is sunlight transformed, captured by plants, passed through food, released in the chemistry of your cells. Every movement of your body, every spark of thought is sunlight's gift, passed down through countless transformations. The glow of fireflies, the bioluminescence of the deep sea, the auroras shimmering across polar skies, all are echoes of the same fundamental truth. Light is life's companion, present in every form, described by equations, felt as wonder. The poetry of light lies in its constancy. It does not choose where to shine, it moves outward without preference. Filling space with brightness. It does not slow or falter, it does not grow tired. It carries on across billions of years, across emptiness and dust, across galaxies. And always it follows the same equations, the same unbroken rules. To rest in this thought is to feel calm. The universe may be vast, time may be long, but light is faithful. Its rhythm is steady, its path unwavering. It is the quiet companion of all things. So let us close with a reflection. The equations woven into light are more than mathematics. They are the song of the universe, expressed in brightness, warmth, and vision. They tell us that the world is ordered, that beauty and law are not separate, that science and poetry meet in every ray. To see light is to see both truth and wonder, both law and mystery. You are part of this weaving, alive, because light has traveled across time and space to reach you. And in its steady shining, you may find peace, knowing that as long as light exists, the universe will never be without clarity, warmth, and hope.